It was a good day at Goodwill. I was looking for my items for the Goodwill Hunting Thrift Flip Challenge. This was brought to you by the Flippin Bunch. The Flippin Bunch consists of Cat from Owling Dog Designs, Crystal from Crafty Creech DIYs and Furniture Flips, and Dar from DIYs by Dar. And me, Levon, from Statement Designs. We're co-hosting with Cheryl Wall from Lifestyle of a DIYer. So check out all of these channels. So the first thing I found was this little plaque, and I thought it was really cute, but I also thought I could do better. And it's only $2.99. I felt like it really just needed a little bit of an update. And this little chalkboard for $3.99. I thought it was really cute, but once again, I felt like I could do better. Now these little guys, I just thought they were $3.99 each. And so I just looked at them and I thought I liked them. The tables, this table was not part of the thrift flip. It was only $6.99. Plus, I had got the cheval mirror for another challenge. So let's get everything prepped up. And I'm going to do that all at once. So I am starting with a good cleaning on everything and removing those tags from everything. And I know that I should have a special blade to do this, but I was just anxious to get started and using my fingers, and eventually I grabbed a blade, although it was not the right blade. I have one of those right blades, but I didn't go get it. So, you know how sometimes you just use what you have around? It worked. And I sanded everything too. So I'm ready to get started on DIY project number 1. The first one I'm starting on is that little chalkboard. I decided after I removed the tags and a little stickiness from the front that there isn't much you can do to improve on this. However, I could make it double-sided, which gives it a whole lot more options. So you can use regular chalk paint for this. I did remove all the little screws and everything, the hangers from the back, because of wanting to use it double-sided. I will put a hanger differently so it can be used in that manner. But when you use regular chalk paint, and I'm using Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint, you can do a chalkboard, and all you do is paint in one direction and then the next direction after that one dries, and you just keep going until you feel like you have the coverage that you need. So I painted this side first, and then I still had a little residue from those stickers, I believe, so I kind of came back over it. I did multiple coats on all of these until I got them really pretty, nice and smooth. And again, every other coat was in a different direction. Here's the part where we make it better. I use Iron Orchid Designs Reverie stamp, and I'm using white ink, which is called their mixing ink, mixing white, and that's a permanent ink. My little stamps aren't sticking, so I decide to do a couple different sections at a time. So I do those top corners, and then I do the bottom corners. And then I fill in some other designs. I do this on both sides of the piece. Next, I take the swoosh stamp. This is now becoming a retired stamp. I just love this one. This time I'm going to be using erasable chalk ink. So it's for chalkboards, but it's erasable ink. And I thought this would be a cute example of something that you could do with reversible chalkboard for a storefront, open and closed. Maybe you can put it on your kitchen door so that people won't mess anything up after a certain hour. Well, good luck with that. And who has a door on your kitchen? Okay, not a good idea. This time I'm going to use erasable chalk ink. So I ink it up. This ink is great for chalkboards because you obviously can erase it, hence the name. I made it pretty juicy because it seems to work better when it's really wet. I flip it over and my E falls off, but not to worry. My design isn't ruined because it is indeed erasable. So I get rid of that, and then I'm going to stamp it down, and then I'll add the E later since it's being contemptible. Perfect. I'm using baby wipes to get rid of the ink and return them to their carrier sheet. They stick so much better if you clean them off. I didn't like the way the C and the D were. So notice I'm erasing it and it's not getting rid of the design that I did with the Reverie stamp in the permanent ink. So just take note of that you can erase over the permanent ink and it's not going to go away. I didn't do much of a better job with the D, but I'm sticking to it. Might have been better the first time. Now it looks like it says dosed. So anyway, we can erase it and we can work on that. I took the screwdriver and pre-drilled so I wouldn't crack and put some screw eyes in because I want to hang it with some ribbon. But I moved them and then because they were too close together, and now I'm just using some filler and we'll come back with that. I have been just itching to play with the Portobello Road stamp set, and now it is going to be a retired set now too. So, not for me though. I absolutely loved using this. Originally, I thought it was going to be a good fit for my house plaque, but as it turned out, it wasn't so much. I used it, but it was too big a scale. So I did stamp some windows and tried to make them look like doors, and I also stamped some of the doors, but I only put them halfway down, as you'll see. What I'm doing right now is seasoning the stamp set. Because I've never used it, you should take a 220 grit sandpaper and just go over the stamp just to season it, and that just gives it some tooth so that your inks and paints will adhere to it. So I decided to switch gears a little bit and I went to the set of plaques, and I'm sanding them, and I'm taking out those little hangers off the top, and I'm going to use Dixie Belle's Endless Shore. It has a primer and a sealer built in, so I'm just going to go ahead and I put several coats on both the front and the back after I did a little scuff sand. I choose some of the elements in the stamp set to make my scene, and I choose that large bakery stamp, and I choose a bicycle, a lamp post, a lady, and a planter. So I'm going to be using the masking technique. When you mask, you are using dimension. So everything that you have in front, you want to mask, because that way it shows that it's in front. So you'll see as we go along. What it does when you mask it and then stamp over it, it puts your other image behind it. So it keeps the one that you wanted in the front out in the front, therefore giving it some dimension. I got a little bit of ink on there, which usually you can wipe off if you get it right away. But this is permanent ink, so once it dries, it's not going anywhere. It's great because if you use water-based paints or watercolor, you can go right over it because it's not going to run. So I have my bicycle, and now I'm going to put my lady and my planter on, and I'm using a sheet. These come in with the packages, or you can purchase a thin mount which has a grid on it, and I like using those as well, but sometimes I just use whatever's handy. So I'm inking them up and wiping off excess ink. And then I had, lined that up with the corner so I know where I wanted to put it. So I'm getting the planter and the lady on there. The planter, I don't think needed to be out front, but I figured I would take care of that in one fell swoop and get that on there as well. So I'm masking the bicycle and the lady, and I am stamping the lamp post because it's going to go kind of behind the bicycle. Usually when you pick them up, the mask goes with them, but I want to use it again. So you can see that the bicycle looks like it's in front of the lamppost. Now I want to put the bakery down. So I'm going to ink it up, and I'm just using the black ink. Okay, so I line it up and lay it down. This is so cute. There's so much detail in the cakes and pies that are in the window, and the donuts, and just all of it, So the lady's looking in the window. So you can see now she's out in front looking in the window, and the bicycle's out front. So I'm going to use a little cobblestone here, and so that the design isn't just floating, and I'm just going to put that underneath. In this composition, I'm going to count on the blue that I'm going to paint in the sky to balance everything out. When I stamp the street, I don't stamp it or re-ink it every time. I just kind of pick it up and lay it down. You don't have to be exact with this part. For the other plaque, I'm kind of doing a little more detailed design because I don't have one thing that's as big as the bakery. So I'm doing the clothes on the line, the man walking the dog, the door, the window with a lady in it, and the window box, and a planter, and my house is going to be brick. So I start by keeping in mind what's going to be in front. And I put everything on one mounting sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. I only need to stamp about half of the clothesline because it won't all fit on the plaque. Next, I'm going to work on that lady in the window with the planter box. So the thing that's going to be out in front is the planter box. So I ink that up first. Then I add a mask, and then I put my little lady down. In retrospect, I probably didn't need to mask the lady because those panes would have been over her. She wouldn't have been in front of the window. But you know what? I don't think it makes a big difference because it might look like the window was open. Perhaps the shutters. It would be really hard to tell any difference. So I'm not worried about it. Now I need to mask over the window and the door and the guy with the dog because I'm going to be doing the brick overlay on everything. At this point, I clean off the masks, and instead of putting them back in the package loose, I'm putting them in a sandwich bag with a zip tie or Ziploc so that I don't lose any of those little pieces. And then I clean the stamps and put them back as well. And I have 13 by 13 bags, Ziploc bags that I got from Amazon that are just perfect for keeping these large stamp sets in. So I'll put the links to that in the description box. I do get a little kickback from Amazon, so if you purchase it, it doesn't cost you any more, but I get that little perk. Now for some fun. I've been lately playing with watercolor paints a little bit. So I know they're going to behave differently on this flat, kind of smooth surface than they would behave on watercolor paper. So I have to be careful to not get a lot of pooling, which I do in some places, but I find that I can use a paper towel and just kind of blot it. But I wanted the transparency of the watercolor so that I could see the stamp through it. If I were using chalk paint, I could do the stamp paint stamp technique, but this would be a very detailed item to do that on. I just rely on the colors to fill in the edges of the bricks. I could take a Sharpie if I wanted, but I think your eye fills it in for you. Stay tuned to the end of this video so you see this finished project. The last thing I do to this is do a seal with Rust-Oleum matte clear coat, because I don't want that watercolor to run at all if it gets wet. Finally, we're back to the bird houses. So as I mentioned before, I took some of the doors and windows thinking that maybe I could cut them down a little bit and use them on this plaque. So I was going to recreate the houses, and boy, I got stuck. I really didn't know what to do after this. So I shared with my Flippin' Bunch sisters my dilemma. And they were so sweet. That's what I had, and I really wasn't happy with it. So somewhere along the line, they suggested maybe a key rack. Well, that just gave me the inspiration I needed. So I decided that this was going to become, that row of houses would become bird houses. I decided to leave what I stamped on there and make it kind of a little condo, if you will. A little fancy birdhouse, but I took a drill and drilled big enough holes so that I could put these little pieces of dowel rod in. And I just broke them off. I didn't cut them with any sort of tool because I thought it would look cool if they were just kind of look natural like sticks. So I used Van Dyke Brown glaze, and I just kind of stained them. So I stuck them down in the holes so I could finish painting them, so that was pretty handy. While that was drying, I took a cork and I just marked a couple places where that would be the hole for the birdhouse. So then I started layering, and I just decided to use some stencils. I was going to stamp, or not stamp, I already did that. I was going to make some molds. The new bird's nest that was in the spring release from Iron Orchid Designs, but I decided that they wouldn't be in proportion either. So I'm just doing a little bit of stenciling, and then I decided to frame it out with some black paint on the edges. Before I show you the finished projects, I just want to remind you to watch the entire playlist. It'll be down in the comments section and also in the description box. Remember how my thrift flip finds started out? Well, let's take a look at them now and see what you think. You'll have to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Find us on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.